Oh,
You guys can still hear me, right?
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Got 6 people waiting.
Shut up. No way.
7.
It's so funny. The countdown says it's like
Oh
we're
my
going to
God,
be
I'm
live in
nervous.
like a minute. And it says live in 30. Are we live or are we just doing a countdown? Does anyone know what the heck's going on?
We're doing a countdown.
Really? Because it says I'm live. I don't know. Whatever.
We're live, but it's running a countdown ticker.
I hope people can hear us so they know exactly what to expect.
And this is what they're going to get every week.
Oh, definitely. Nice little cold open. Welcome to the chaos. Let's go.
I think they can hear us. It says, yo, have fun, you're live.
Oh,
Type
heck yeah.
Mike and Dave's multiverse.
All right.
This is exciting.
Well, what's the point of a countdown if...
Well, our unprofessional butts were probably supposed to have like muted ourselves. Yeah. We were probably supposed to just like shut up and just not be like children. But like, where's the fun in that? You know?
Just
what's the point in that?
Just holding the suspense. 20 seconds.
I'm gonna get the notes up before I forget what the heck we even said we were going to talk about.
Oh, you can definitely hear us. You can definitely hear us, by the way. I
forgot to share it. I forgot to share it on thingy as well. Oh, I love it. This is like the most British way to start a show. What's up? What's up, fam? How's it going? I can't see the chat, so I can't see how anyone's doing. But Mike, do you wanna do the intro? Introduce everyone to the show.
I do. This is Wandering Wolf Live. This is our maiden voyage. As you can tell, I still have notifications on and things binging in the background. And if you guys heard all of our talking while we were doing the countdown, we'll get that under wrap next time around. But this is we have our clapping music because I'm going to introduce Kay, the amazing Kay Smythe Hill. And behind the scenes, Sammi Lee. And we're going to be doing this every week on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, digging into hot topics for the week, news, highlighting creators, events, tours, just digging into all stuff ancient history.
Yeah.
That's a good rundown.
That's a great rundown. I'm sorry that I haven't shared this on my platforms yet because I don't have the link. If someone, I don't know, Sammy, could you text me the link so I can share it? I'm Kay. I'm one of the co-hosts here. Super professional. Stoked to be here. Never done anything wrong. No, I think it's a great intro. I think it's like a good summary of everything the show's going to cover. And I'm sure like there will be weeks where we get into things that aren't necessarily exclusively just about the ancient histories, ancient mysteries world, because I think as everyone who's into this field of exploration knows, there's also a lot of drama that goes on within this field. And it's usually people that Mike and I and Sammy, we all know. We're usually friends with everyone involved. We like to sit back and go, shut up, like everyone get along. Or sometimes people are being idiots, like we're not going to name names. Dibble, you know, just big archaeology, you know, it's not for me.
And it's been a year. This year has been, it feels like this year in that respect has blown up more than anything else that I can remember, as far as back and forth and really kind of the cult. Like I feel like the community of the ancient history community has kind of put their foot forward in terms of really collectively advancing things and sticking up for each other and coming together in ways against this pushback from the archaeological community around a lot of things, and really just having opinions and on topics and stuff. A lot of the times. And we've talked about this before. Our good friend Jimmy Corsetti has been leading that charge fiercely and valiantly. And we could do a live stream every week just on Jimmy's X posts, I think.
Oh my God, we could do live stream every hour on Jimmy's X posts. But you and Jimmy, yeah, I think that's like one of the things that I'm most excited for, though, about doing this show with you, Mike, is you and Jimmy, and I guess in our sort of like network, like Graham Hancock, you guys actually go to these sites. You don't just call out the mismanagement. You don't just call out the things that aren't going. I mean, like, you don't just call out the scientific inaccuracies, and I've used that as like a blanket term across like archaeology and like the actual exploration of these things, sort of looking at the ancient anthropologies of it, whatever. You actually go there. And speaking of drama, my home country, I don't live there anymore, but Britain, you were just out there and you had to deal with some of the crazy censorship. We have the banner at the bottom of the show for everyone watching. Because a lot of censorship in this field by these big industries, and now I guess a lot of censorship back in Britain in all forms. So what was that like, Mike?
Yeah, it was really weird. It was interesting, because I've traveled a lot. I end up in the UK a lot for getting over to other places. So UK is always kind of like a stopping point, either going there or on my way somewhere. And they've got a new, do you remember, I told you what it was. It was like an ETB. It was a new thing that you have to fill out. You have to give them like your criminal history. You have to give them your background, your address, where you're staying. And it's, all this stuff that you have to fill out and then get an approval, like a form approved now before you can travel over there from the US, which is brand new as of this year. And then once I got there, my X posts were being blacked out. And then I couldn't even type. Somebody left a stupid comment on Instagram, and, I called them, I wrote out.
Called them an idiot. You called them, yeah, we're not cussing. It's okay. You can call them. They were being an idiot.
Not my best moment. No, it's fine.
You're so I called him an idiot. Mike's the nice one out of the two of us. I'm going to be the one calling people out and like jumping down people's throats as Mike is there. Like, no, everyone has to get along and be friends.
But it wouldn't let me type that out and post that, and on my thread where this person was being ugly, and because I was in the UK, and so I got a notice that came up. It said, "It looks like you're sending something that could be harmful or hurtful to someone," and so there was no other option but for me to edit or remove that word before I could post or do anything. So I just wrote I and then symbols T, and that's how I had to post it. It was crazy. I've never experienced anything like that. So yeah, there's definitely like censorship going on over in the UK right now. It was a big change from, being able to experience or just like day-to-day stuff on social media here in America. So it's definitely going on over there. It's not just sometimes you wonder how real some of the stuff you're seeing online or on Twitter or different stuff actually is, if it's being exaggerated or blown up. But no, it's actually happening over there. I just experienced it. That was last week. So, but it was a fun trip otherwise. And we're going to get into some of that.
I was going to say, is this? I can't see it. Let me zoom in here.
ETA.
Electronic travel authorization. Effective January 8th this year.
Yeah.
This is crazy. So, like, obviously I'm from the UK, everyone listening. My husband is from North Carolina. We live in the South now, which is great, and I love it. Been here legally for a very long time, well before I met my husband. And I left around the time like Brexit happened, because we knew that there was going to be craziness with like travel, all those sorts of things, blah, 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 blah. If you had told me 10 years ago when I moved out here and all, that stuff was happening back in the UK, that it would get to this point of, yeah, because like you had to, we were talking about this yesterday or day before, you had to fill out that form, all of that stuff to be able to even be let into the country. And then when you're in country, you can't use social media or anything digital, I guess, to sort of like exercise any kind of free speech, which is insane. I'm hoping that the ancient sites that you went to visit, I purposefully haven't asked you about this, Mike, because I wanted to get it live, unfiltered on the stream. But the ancient sites you visited, I'm hoping that you were able to actually go out and like explore them properly, that they're not trying to now like cover up those places. I'm kind of teasing a little bit, I guess, of an upcoming video that will be out on Wandering Wolf from Easter Island, and how you talk about like you can't get close to most of the sites there, which really surprised me. It looked like you were basically on top of Stonehenge in the videos that I've seen so far.
Yeah, I was hanging out with the druids and the hippies and a bunch of people smoking weed and on mushrooms. It was great. You know what? Stonehenge, usually you can't get close to it. It's been like that for years, and that's only ever been my experience visiting Stonehenge. So I was actually able to get over there for the equinox and hook up with Hugh Newman from Megalithomania UK.
Heck
and
yeah.
Walk right up to the site. He lives really close, right there, walking distance. We walked over and we're able to just go right in and walk all amongst the stones, which was a really cool experience. I was really looking forward to. That was awesome. But yeah, got to hang out with a lot of hippies playing bad music and bongo drums, and it was cool. That was great. Yeah. Yeah, and then we dropped this video today on Avebury. I didn't even know this was here. I don't know how I wasn't aware of it, but it's the world's largest stone circle. Hugh and I went and visited it. I had a chance to hang out with Graham in Bath, which was great. Love Graham and what he's been doing this year. So it was good to connect with him and Santha, and then got over to Avebury. Now, Avebury is the world's largest stone circle, and there's a little village right there in the middle of it, and it's basically kind of broken up into like 4 quadrants with a road going through it, and
wow.
an inn, Red Lion Inn, right in the middle of town, so you can go in there and get some food and stuff. It's a good visit, and that was a lot of fun because there aren't like any tourists. There's just a handful of people going around the site, people like laying down, taking naps, having picnics, leaning up against the stones, just chilling. It's so relaxed and so different than Stonehenge. It was such a cool experience doing that, and hugely grateful to Hugh because he had his drone and I didn't, and so all this drone footage is his that he shared with me to use. But that video we just dropped today, so people can go watch that. It's live. It's on the channel live right now. They can go see that experience. Hugh's just a boss, and just a wealth of information about so many topics, but especially that part of the UK there.
That's awesome. Yeah, everyone go watch the video. We're not going to give away too many spoilers on the live stream. We are going to be pushing you all towards watching the actual content because, I mean, I feel like we could sit and talk about it for hours, but the way that you film this stuff, the way that Sammy cuts it together, like, does so much justice. And I mean, I've kind of embarrassed, like, being from the UK and not realizing that was where the largest... Every town pretty much, and even just like in the middle of like random fields, everywhere has a stone circle. Mm-hmm. Like we had a druid circle or whatever you like, like a megalith circle. It probably predates the druids, let's be honest. Right in the middle of my hometown, which is Swansea.
Did you really? Where?
Swansea. So it's like right in the middle of this park that was the private grounds of this like very fancy family's house estate thing. In fact, to get to my high school, I used to have to walk through that park, through the stone circle every single day, pretty much.
That's really cool.
It was cool, but you take it for granted, I guess, a little bit when you live there. I have a family member that is very sciencey, very I don't know, like by the book, I guess I would say, and I'm not going to try and like give away. Book. Yeah, like proper, you know, as we were saying in the UK, like very proper. They actually fell asleep in the middle of a stone circle once near a town called, I think it was Aberystwyth, maybe, just in Wales. He woke up and was like surrounded by all of these people who were like dressed weirdly and like screaming at him in some like weird foreign language. And he was like, what the heck is going on? And then he like blinked and like shook himself and they were all gone.
Oh, he had like a crazy experience in one of these things.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I'm pretty sciencey myself, like obviously a Christian as well, but like weird stuff happens at these places. Like there's a lot more that we don't know than we do know. So that's pretty cool. We went to the biggest one.
Yeah, every place that I stayed at, I found out after I stayed there that it was haunted.
Oh yeah.
Or, you know, that people say that it's haunted. And I'm like, cool, yeah, awesome. The place that Hugh recommended for me to stay at, and I stayed at, he was like, yeah, it's one of the most haunted. It's supposed to be one of the most haunted places in the world. I was like, thanks for giving me a heads up. Like, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I imagine, you know, just making my way around the UK and stuff, it's like, if you grow up there, you've got to kind of take some of that for granted. It's kind of like when wherever you're from, you never do all the cool things that are there.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're there, you're familiar with everything. So
that's so true. I think, yeah, half the stuff that I did in Britain, like the Glastonbury tour, all that stuff I did was because of my degree program. Like I didn't go out, I would never have otherwise gone to all of these like ancient geological sites had it not been for my degree. And I still think college is a waste of time and money, or university is a waste of time and money, but it was pretty cool for the field work, I will say.
Yeah.
We got to go to Stonehenge, but we didn't get up close. So very jealous about that.
What kind of work did you do?
I did a geography degree with Plymouth University. So this is like my favorite thing because everyone thinks I'm just like some mouthy person off like Newsmax and all that kind of stuff. I was like, no, I have a degree in this. So I did my geography degree, and I would say it was a pretty even split of human and physical geography.
Yeah.
I would say the first year and a half was all physical geography. It was all like eustatic change and isostatic uplift and like climate change and dendrochronology, which was actually one of my favorite courses I've ever done. Ask me about climate proxy data. I can talk all day. I loved it, but I suck at math. So I went into, I mean, math sucks. Like there's, you know, there's men and there's like calculators for that now.
Yeah. I have my phone. I can do all that on my phone. So
yeah, right. Like, and we didn't have that when I was back in like high school. It was just coming out when I went to uni. So
well, I'm old enough to remember teachers telling me about our calculators, that we wouldn't be having these calculators in our pocket all the time when we got older. And it's like, yeah, well, look how that turned out.
Look at us now. We got a calculator that's also a camera, that also can call and access anyone and anything. It's also an encyclopedia. The list goes on.
Yeah.
But no, I think like, so my undergrad, it was up until my first like geopolitics class, which I skipped most of that semester because I was just like, I don't really care. I'll just do the coursework. But I went to a class where we discussed I think it was the 2000, would have been 2000, right? The presidential election. That was Al Gore, Bush. Yeah. So talked about that, learned about like gerrymandering, the electoral college versus like the popular vote, like how 9/11 led into the war on terror, but like how it was actually done. And that's when I was like, I did sociology within my, like I have an associate's degree in sociology. So that's when I was like, that's freaking fascinating. Let me learn more about that. And then it was like applying the human and the physical which is where I realized that climate change wasn't what they were telling us at all. Like, not even a little bit. That was all bollocks. And then yeah, but it was a great place to learn it because you have so much of the ancient history, the ancient geographies across the spectrum there.
So,
like we've got these giant stone circles, but then we've also got like, you know, Oxford University, which is like the bastion of
yeah, I
of
did go to the British Museum. I'd never done that before. That was fun. I kind of feel like once you've gone to the Louvre, there isn't really a whole lot of museums that kind of compare. I don't know. Maybe I just really like the Louvre, but I've been to the Louvre so many times. But the British Museum was really cool. There were some interesting pieces there. I'm very disappointed that I didn't see. There's a plaque or something there with Ranga Ranga or whatever the writing is from Easter Island, which is one of the very few examples of that, and I missed it, and so I was a little frustrated with that. So, but that just means I need to go back. But we got a bunch of stuff going on in the news then that's probably pretty interesting to you with all that background, like the recent stuff on that human skull. I know Michael Button's been blowing that up, and it's really interesting because he basically posted about it, and then kind of got attacked. He got a nice welcoming to the club, and got his first attack by Flint Dibble. I think that was his first attack from him. And we were able to, over the last week, I think, welcome Michael Button to the Blocked by Flint Dibble Club.
Welcome, Michael. I didn't know that.
About time.
That so funny. I mean, Flint will attack pretty much anyone that he sees getting more attention than him because he's like, oh, I'll try and social climb that ladder to get attention. It's just like, dude, we all saw you on Rogan. No one's listening anymore.
He feels like his focus is, one of my favorite things to say is, especially in a space like being online, is don't pay attention to what people say, pay attention to what people do, and that'll tell you what they're doing, the direction that they're going, and stuff like that. And it would appear to me that Flint Dibble's focus is moving towards being, an influencer. So I find it, pretty hilarious the way he rails it at some of the people, especially Michael Button, who's so non-argumentative and is just posting like, interesting stuff. And Michael Button's response on that was basically that he was quoting the article word for word. It's not like he was, exaggerating anything about this, which was, was interesting. And, but yeah, that skull. So let's dig into that a little bit, because I think we picked a really good week for starting our live stream. Because there's been a lot of interesting stuff dropping this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the article up here. So just in case there's anyone who's like just listening to the stream, we can give you all some context for what we're talking about. So basically, researchers in China have uncovered a 1,000,000-year-old skull that is now said to have rewritten or could rewrite the ancient history of Homo sapiens, which is obviously like us humans, like what we know as modern humans. So the skull itself being 1,000,000 years old pushes the timeline on Homo sapiens emergence back about 500,000 years, so 500,000 years. And it shows we could, I'm biased. I think we coexisted with Neanderthals for a lot longer. I've just always felt that way. I have a huge bias towards that. I'm fascinated by Neanderthals. I don't think they're anything like what we're told they were like. I don't think they were these like cavemen. I think they were actually a heck of a lot scarier than they were. And I think we competed with them for dominance for a very long time. And we probably don't have time to get into it on the stream today, but their extinction, I don't think we caused it. I think that was natural, but for whatever reason, it happened. That's the only reason we're here now. And so what I think is really cool about this, I'm trying to find the actual quotes here. So here we go. The discovery, published in the leading scientific journal Science, shocked the research team, which included scientists from a university in China and the UK's Natural History Museum, great museum. I can't pronounce this researcher's name, but he's from Fudan University. And he says, from the very beginning, when we got the result, we thought it was unbelievable. How could we be so deep into the past? But we tested it again and again to test all the models, use all the methods, and we are now confident about the result. And we're actually very excited that this skull essentially pushes the human timeline back. I mean, like 500,000 years, guys. Like, think about it. If you look at just like the 2,000 years that we've lived in since the life of Christ and everything that's happened and everything we've achieved, you go back like 12,800 years to the Younger Dryas and that cataclysm. I think most people listening to the stream are of the mindset that there was almost definitely one, if not multiple, ancient technological civilizations that existed pre-Younger Dryas. And that's just like 13,000 years of our history. And now we've got an extra like 500 to 6,000 years that we could have been on this planet. How many cycles of development could we have gotten through in that space of time? I mean, like the mind boggles.
It
And
does.
so,
I've never quite understood when we're working on these time frames why it's so inconceivable that there could have been multiple rises and falls of civilizations and all sorts of alternate means of development in terms of advancement or things that they were using back then didn't have to be our understanding of what technology is, but still advanced. And it's funny because everything just keeps getting older. It's like really all you have to do is just kind of wait around for everything to kind of catch up with the ideas being presented within the ancient history community as far as theories and stuff like that. It's always fun when something like this comes out and just kind of gives you some more room to work with.
I mean, I think one of the other big takeaways, the bit that's sort of like buried in certainly the BBC's article. I hate the BBC, by the way, but whatever. They're also very pro-China, very funded by China. But they still buried the fact that this skull could actually suggest that early humans evolved out of the Asian continent, not the African continent, which would rewrite every single history book again, which is crazy. And we already know that Denisovans, another species of human, more than likely evolved out of China and out of Asia and the Asian continent. I think that this is, I don't know. I go back and forth. Like anything scientific that comes out of China, I take with a pinch of salt because there's been so many lies from Chinese researchers. Like they claimed that they invented acupuncture. They didn't. And we know that now. This could be another one, but I don't know. I don't think it is.
I mean, I've actively seen, look at this little guy. What are you doing, buddy? You coming to join the live stream? That's hard to ignore. Yeah, he's pretty cute. So where was I? Oh, weird China. Yeah, I've been to places like long UKs and different stuff where they're actively changing those sites. When I went there, that was 5 or 6. One of the first places that I was really focused on getting to when I started the channel. Almost, it could have been 7 or 8 years ago, actually. And they're actively changing, the entire site with carvings on the wall and different stuff like that, and the things they're doing above ground as well. So there's kind of a wholesale uncaring handling of ancient sites and history, and there seems to be a vested interest there in protecting the established narrative as far as history and different stuff. Like China has a rich history and a lot of great writing on and things that back up a lot of different things about the history. But there are whole areas where there's things, just entire huge chunks of things missing and stuff like that. And you've got the pyramids and stuff too that they haven't excavated, and they've planted trees all over, and it's pretty interesting to dive into a lot of that.
I mean, that was literally going to be my next question, was like, and you brought it up already, like the pyramids in China. Have you seen them? / what do you think they are? / tell us everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got videos out on those. I visited the one of the pyramids, actually several. There's like a complex of pyramids out there. I visited, and I got great drone footage even of it. And you can visit them, but yeah, they are completely covered with trees, in rows. It was all done on purpose. So, we've just spent the last year going through the whole controversy of the trees at Gobekli Tepe, and I've traveled all over the world and seen the damage trees can do at hundreds of sites. And it can, those pyramids with the trees that are on them, they're medium-sized trees, so they're still growing. By the time that all those trees on that site mature, those pyramids will be rubble mounds. They're obviously there's no intention to like excavate or do anything on any of those, or you wouldn't plant literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of trees on top of them. But it is what it is. Yeah, I don't know.
Just goes back into that thing, like what you were saying about this just natural proclivity to hide our history from us by any means necessary. Like not digging into our past. Like the choice to not dig into our past is one thing. The choice to actively destroy it before anyone else can explore it. We could do a whole series on those conspiracy theories. Like,
Sammy seriously. Found it.
Oh, heck yeah.
So it's a whole complex there. And so you can see some of these are more worn down, like that one there. And there's bigger ones. You can see there's two pyramids in that picture right there.
Yeah. And
then off in the background, further down the way, there's like several more pyramids, one really large one.
Whereabouts in China was this?
Oh gosh, it's been so long. I can't remember where I was.
Don't even sweat it. I was going to say, I remember being there, 22 years ago now, with my family and driving past like mounds. And I remember my mom, so I don't know if it's the same now, but when we were there, you couldn't go anywhere in China without having a guide.
Really?
Guide. It was like a government shadow who made sure that you did everything correctly, for sure. You weren't allowed to drive, obviously, as a Westerner. This was also during the SARS epidemic. But I remember my mom asking our guide, like, what are those mounds? And he was like, oh, they're probably just burial mounds or something like that, washed over it. And like now I'm like, oh, those were pyramids that they look exactly like that there. That's wild.
So there's tons of pyramids over there. When you get into some of these countries like China, and Turkey's another great example, there's a real thing that you have to consider about that controlling of the narrative, especially in places that are like either really tight in terms of their control over their citizens by the government, or you have possible issues with destabilization due to religion. So if you have a site like Gobekli Tepe, for example, there could be all sorts of things that are revealed there, which would make sense for, if they have any hint of that, I would assume that they would pump the brakes on excavation and slow it way, way, way down so they can control the information coming out in a country like Turkey. Because if it went against any kind of, that could really cause a level of unrest over there, especially in that region. It's in the south of Turkey. Sanliurfa is right there on the border with Syria. It's been in the past, kind of a hot spot and for a lot of things. So there's all sorts of issues in certain countries where there would be a vested interest in controlling the narrative about these sites and controlling the history that's presented to the public, right? So
Yeah.
I don't, any of the stuff that's been going on over the last year with stuff like with Gobekli Tepe and different things that, like just take Jimmy, for example, and how hard he's been going at them. None of that is unreasonable to be asking those questions. And it seems perfectly within the realm of possibility for them to be avoiding sharing too much information if you look at it through that perspective that I just shared.
Oh, yeah. Like religious, cultural. I don't know, I think enough about, say, like Islam to understand where that, like, I don't know the history of Islam, anything like that. But even if you just look at the comparison of control from within the Vatican, of like having so many unanswered questions about ancient history, I think it's not quite the same parallel, but it's like there are definitely strands and themes within it. Yeah, there's definitely a vested interest to keep those aspects. And
that's a great point, because, and I
Yeah.
just to touch on that real quick, the Vatican and the Catholic Church is one of the biggest purveyors of destroying knowledge throughout history and our understanding of ancient sites. If you travel throughout anywhere in Central and South America, basically all you need to do is look for an old world type Catholic churches, and it's almost guaranteed that it's buried on an ancient site, ruins, stuff like that. They would come in, raise the area, tear everything down to the ground, and put a church on top of it all. And then the hoarding of information and stuff. I mean, I don't know if anybody does a better job of that than the Vatican.
I don't know. I think the only people that probably do a better job of it now is whoever's invested in ensuring no more archaeological excavations happen at so many of these sites. That's why I was like almost surprised to see this article come out about the million-year-old skull, and probably why I asked the question, like, half of this research is coming out of China. Big push by the BBC, big push by the Natural History Museum to get this press release out. Both of those institutions depend heavily on Chinese funding to exist, even though the BBC is supposed to be taxpayer run, unbiased. It's not. It's just a propaganda wing for whoever's like cutting the bigger checks than the British public. But I think all you have to do is kind of like trace that money back. And I don't know, my gut instinct tells me that along with the potential religious outcry and that like normalized trend, and again, we both say this as like Christians, like Mike and I are both Christian. We both believe in God, both have a relationship with Christ. But there's a difference between there's a difference between church and the institution of churches and the businesses of churches and the business of religion. But I think in that same sort of vein, there's a huge number of people that would realize that if we, like I was writing earlier, just like this little thing on the Younger Dryas and the Taurid meteor stream, and thinking back to a lot of Graham Hancock's work on that. And like when you listen to Graham, essentially what he's describing is one of our greatest vulnerabilities. For anyone who doesn't know, his sort of reigning theory, and it's, for the most part, pretty scientifically sound right now with the proxy data, this idea that we go through the Taurid meteor stream twice a year. Some years are worse than others. It's more than likely that towards the end of our last glacial maximum, we went through the Taurids. We either had a comet, something large hit Earth, which led to the mass melt and mass flood of the North American ice sheet, or we had an airburst, multiple fragments of this comet bursting in midair, total destruction, massive, just in that moment, like cataclysm that led to that rapid recooling that we then had to come out of again about 12,800 years ago. But if you think about how vulnerable that makes us, it makes so many of the institutions that control us so redundant to our day-to-day lives and so meaningless for the long-term survival of like our families. We'd all go back to like subsistence homesteading and farming because it's the only thing that we can control. And anyone that tells us that they have control, it's like, really, you're going to stop a comet? Okay, yeah, sure. And I don't want to hear from anyone being like, well, we changed the trajectory of that one comet. Like, I know I wrote about it. It's an asteroid, actually. And we don't have any control over what we did to it, though, do we? I can't remember what it's called. But, you know, all of these major institutions that seek control have a vested interest to hide these aspects of our history from us. And so when I see, this million-year-old skull thing, there is a part of me that's like, this could be another claim by China to try and like grab a hold of history. But it could also be legit, in which case that's pretty freaking cool and absolutely bleeds into so much of what we've all been saying in this community is, you know, again, to quote Graham, stuff just keeps getting older.
Stuff keeps getting older. It's funny because you have to like ingest like new information these days. Like we're in a totally different time period where now you have to ingest all your information with like quite a bit of discernment and skepticism. So like everything that you just explained, it's like you have to ask yourself where the information's coming from and what could the possible intent be behind releasing this information. Is there a benefit here to releasing this from where the source that it's coming from? It's wild how, you know, I see these I see posts on things like Facebook is great for seeing this because Facebook is all the old timers, right? So it's like I'll see these crazy AI images with stories built in them. I saw one the other day. It was like trail cam video of a lost boy who got escorted home by two wild wolves. And it's like, this is clearly an AI image, but there's people arguing in the comments. And then if you just go look at their profiles, they're just like 70-year-old ladies and like, you know, just buying everything that they're seeing. And that's something that we're going to have to contend with moving forward, because there's going to be this whole part of the population just continues to take everything in at face value. And there's so many of us now that are beyond that have like the generation before us did that. And you know, I think my generation and then the next generation and so forth are getting a little bit wiser to that, but there's still big chunks of people that just, they don't care. They just want to ingest the information and not ask questions. And you know, if you talk about it too, you get attacked. As you can see over the last year, we've got tons of great examples of that. If you just talk about different stuff or question things, you can get attacked. At least on X, you know, I don't worry about anything on Instagram. I can post whatever I want there and nobody says anything. But if you do it on X, somebody's going to come after you.
Yeah, that's so true. Unless Jimmy Kimmel plays a clip of you on his show, then people will come after you on Instagram, as I recently experienced.
Did he play a clip of you?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, on his like,
tell me about this.
Well, because it was like his first show back after getting suspended, and then he pulled up a clip of me, like telling from what I've been told by all of my sources is.
I think you did tell us about this, by the way.
Okay, yeah, I was like, okay. I don't know. It was like one of those days where I was like, what the heck is going on? But my point being that even, like the Jimmy Kimmels of the world, you know, him being this like Hollywood institution, I guess, they've lost so much of their cred. Sorry, I've been watching a lot of South Park. They've lost so much of their cred that I think it was Ian Carroll said recently something about how so many of these institutions have lost so much credibility. The humanity and like emerging generations of power like ours, we depend on citizen journalists. So I think in our field of research, that's absolutely, yeah. Okay, there we go. There's me
This
on
is
camera.
great.
That's great. But
Oh, there it is.
we depend on citizen journalists like you, Mike, who actually go to these places. Like, you are way more reliable than anyone or anything we're going to get from the institutions that run Gobekli Tepe, which I think is our next topic that we wanted to move on to today. And this statue, I don't really understand this. So tell me about this statue that they found at Gobekli Tepe. Because
and just real quick,
out of nowhere.
As far as Jimmy Kimmel, I'm old enough to remember when he was doing the Man Show with Adam Carell.
With Adam.
And doing blackface of Karl Malone. And I don't understand all these people that speak out so much. They all have examples of them on TV doing blackface and just being stuff that you would get crucified for today. And they just get a free pass. And it's just crazy to me. Whatever. Anyways, I've never enjoyed Jimmy Kimmel. I always thought there was something very disingenuous about him. I do like Adam Carolla. I think he's funny.
Adam is really nice. I spent COVID Thanksgiving with Adam Carolla and Georgie True, which is like my only real claim to fame.
He's funny.
They're the nicest people. Yeah.
So the thing at I think it was a Karahan Tepe. I think they found
Karahan Tepe, not Gobekli.
Oh, okay. So there's two discoveries. Gobekli Tepe, they found a human figure stuffed in the wall, basically, and one of these.
Made out of stone, not a real human, right?
Yeah. Stone figure.
There we go. Sammy killing it, bringing it up right there. Boom.
Sammy is our secret weapon.
Yeah, Sammy is our Jamie, and our life is so much better for you.
And so, look, I think this was my initial reaction too. So Jimmy and I went here earlier in the year. At the beginning of the year, I think we went in February or March 2025. And if I remember correctly, and then, we even then, we're noticing these walls with the rough cut stones and stuff and how dissimilar they appeared to be from the T-pillars in terms of construction and precision and everything, right? And so when you find, something like this in those less precise, less well done walls, the initial reaction is, at least for myself, and then Jimmy posted about this first, is that it's, is that Jimmy's post there?
Yeah, I think that is one of Jimmy's right there.
Is basically what he's saying is that the walls were built later, and that was just stuffed into the walls and used for that. Whereas the archaeologists submitted that it was put there purposely as some kind of offering or something, if I remember correctly.
Everything's a ritual and an offering,
right? Yeah, and religious, and a temple, and yeah. So, anyways, that's great that that's been found. It gives us more to look at. It gives us a better understanding of how important it is to continue excavations there and how much more the site has to reveal. Because you have to remember, I think we're only at 5% excavation of Gobekli Tepe, with plans to not fully excavate the site, not in our lifetime. There's still hundreds of T-pillars to be excavated. And, I think, like I said, having visited the site, and this is just pulling on my experience of having visited so many hundreds of sites around the world. There is, where I'm coming from when I talk about this is seeing the direct correlation between sites around the world and how they're developed in terms of restoration and being made available to the public for tourism. I am not against tourism. I think that that's been you know, a lot of the archaeologists and stuff have come at me like that over the last year. I'm not against tourism. I'm not against developing sites for tourism. But when the primary amount of energy is going into tourism versus, you know, excavation and work, it seems imbalanced to me. And I think there's a lot of people in our space that agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're saying. Some of us louder than others. And, you know, finding something like this on as part of the site that's already being as part of the area that's already being excavated is wonderful. And it is, I think, a real indicator of what to expect if excavations were, you know, ramped up or increased, or if funding was, instead of going towards putting up more shops and the massive resort hotel complex that they're building at the front of the place, if some of that was diverted towards getting more people out there working.
Yeah.
I think we'd be, you know, but again, this kind of ties back into what we were talking about more towards the beginning of the live stream here today, is that desire to be careful with the amount of information that's coming out and really go slow so that there can be a controlled release of information in a region like Turkey, and that being possibly something that could be taken into consideration when they're making decisions and stuff. But yeah, just in the last couple of days, they also discovered another human figure at Karahan Tepe nearby. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the last week. That's what I was saying. We picked a good week to like jump in here. We've got tons of stuff going on, which has been fun to get into. But that whole area is worth. I had an amazing time in Turkey. There's the piece found at Karahan Tepe.
How long does it take to get from Göbekli Tepe to Karahan Tepe? Is it the kind of thing that you could do in a day? Like do
yeah,
all of those?
it's all real close. It's all part of the Tues Tepler area region there. So there's a bunch of sites like that. And Karahan Tepe and Göbekli Tepe are very close. So we rented a car and we just drove there right after Göbekli Tepe. We did Göbekli Tepe, Karahan Tepe. I think we did the museum and Sammi Lee all in one day. They're all very close. And we spent hours at each site.
Oh, wow. And like Seeberg, that's the same, that is all the same sort of region, right? Like it's all part of that same, that same.
On the other side of Sammi Lee,
yeah.
To the west, I believe.
So what do you think when you see this, you know, great post here by Michael again, like this T-shaped pillar, like what's your gut tell you we're looking at here in the context of, you know, the entire region and site?
I don't know, you know, I mean, like I loved the, you know, I as soon as I came across this, and then Jimmy had posted about it recently too. I love the idea of and I've said it before. I think in my video I shared this theory of it being Noah's Ark. Like there, you know, in the Bible it talks about Noah building an altar to the Lord after the floodwaters receded, and you know, there's a site out Mount Ararat, I think, in Turkey, that is possibly considered the site of Noah's Ark. I love that idea. That's not very scientific or whatever, you know, but I like that idea, and this whole region being someplace of kind of like starting over, and there being you know, a reason for all these sites to exist as they do and development. But
I don't think that's unscientific though. Again, if you look at like the more sort of anthropological proxy data that's there, you know, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, let's just like take that for example. Flood story, flood myth. We know it predates the Library of Nineveh, so we know it's ancient Mesopotamian. We know it predates, Christ. And then we've got that whole relief in Sayburg that Graham thinks, and I think probably kind of accurately, you introduced me to this, Mike, is probably a description of Gilgamesh. There's a lot of correlations between that epic and Noah. Every single culture in history, religion, everything kind of seems to start with a flood myth. And I don't know, I think human data is accurate scientific proxy data. And I don't know, it's one of those things where like a lot of people I think will hear like, oh, Noah, Genesis, Jesus, like that can't be real. But then like if you know Jesus, then it has a completely different feeling for you. It's sort of like, oh, then it probably is real.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love Graham's article. This is so worth a read. We worked on a Cyborg video to put out, and that's kind of, it got put to the side because I think I needed to kind of touch up a little bit better on some of this stuff, and I wanted to adjust the tone of the video, but it breaks some of this down. So I need to get back on that. Hopefully maybe I can knock that out and get that out in the next week or two, but it breaks down some of the stuff that Graham shared here. And it's really interesting. It's an article, it's on his website. If you haven't read it, you should go read this. I think that there's going to be much more to come from Graham on this. I think this is a basic presentation of his theory and his idea, and I think there'll be more to come that will, I don't know that, but I imagine just from the way Graham works that it's not going to be left at this. And
I mean, it's such a cool story that like I didn't even realize. The only reason I learned about some of this is because I had to research it for something. I think I was researching it for the Y Files actually. I don't really know anything about the Epic of Gilgamesh, and then realizing again the parallels between that and the story of Noah and the Great Flood, and there being only one survivor of that.
This is good stuff to get into. It's like if you're into history, like read the Bible, man. I really like getting into all that, and we're talking about stuff that transcends cultures. There's we're telling the same stories, and all the Abrahamic faiths are telling the same stories here about ancient history, and it's a lot of that. It's really fun to get into.
It is cool, and like even the fact that it was at Nineveh, on the tablets that they found there. The name of those tablets, they have like a specific name for it, and it's escaping me now because I have pregnancy brain. But that's like that's an ancient Assyrian culture, and it predated that king.
That is amazing. I've seen that in person, and that's amazing to see as well. I can never remember the winged bulls.
I literally wrote about these. What are they called? I can't remember, but yes, I know what you mean.
That relief there is massive, and that's a lion he's holding. So it's again we're talking about depictions of giants here.
Yeah.
Same in Egypt.
The Book of Enoch and a lot of the stories of the Nephilim, and even like ancient Assyrian faith, was largely based on similar themes to what we see in the Book of Enoch, which is not supposed to be part of the Bible, but it's not part of the Bible. It's like one of those. And again, we could do a whole episode on giants, dude. Like that would be fun. Like you found so much evidence.
I'm going to be asking Hugh to come on pretty soon. Hopefully he says yes, but he's in the UK. I was trying to figure out how that would work, doing a live stream, because it's 6 hours ahead. I'd love to talk to him about some of that stuff. What do you say we highlight a couple people? There's a couple channels. He hopped into the I don't know if they're still here, but Mike and Dave's Multiverse, if we can pull them up their channel, let's highlight them. They've been doing a bunch of amazing work, and they're hopping in on helping with the conference in Scottsdale. There's going to be a lot of really cool stuff that everybody's been getting into that conference. We have a great lineup of people for Scottsdale. I'm really excited for this event. Some amazing speakers. But I wanted to highlight, Mike, one of the things that we want to do is highlight up and comers here every week and channels that are just kicking butt and doing really good. Mike and Dave have been crushing it. They've been going after it. And their channel, they've been doing a lot of great interviews. That's a lot of what they focus on. And so they're having really interesting people on with great discussions. So I'd go over there and check them out, subscribe to them. We want to make sure we're supporting smaller creators and getting them big.
Heck
where
yeah.
where they should be.
Heck yeah, Mike and Dave. That's freaking awesome. And yeah, the conference in Scottsdale, I'm sure once we post this video and it's out on the YouTubes and all of our channels, there'll be links. Everyone go get your tickets. I will not be there because I will be almost giving birth at that point. So I will not be able to be there, but I'll be at the next one.
You'll be there in spirit.
I'll be there in spirit. I will be there in spirit. But yes.
I forgot to drop the link in the description of the video.
I'm going to add that to notes for next week, Mike. Links in the description of the video.
Doing it right now. And so that everybody can go check this out and get your tickets. We want to see you there.
Yeah. And so for anyone wondering what all is going to be at the conference, and maybe we start next week's show from the top. Let's talk about the conference. And we should do that up until it happens, because I don't think people realize how cool it's going to be. If you're into ancient histories, if you're into exploring all of the mysteries of the ancient world, if you're into channels like Mike and Dave's Multiverse, Jimmy Corsetti's Bright Insight, the Y-Files, all of these other Hugh's channel, Michael's channels, we'll put the links in for everyone. But all of these people are going to be speaking at the event. It's super affordable, super fun way to kick off your sort of holiday season this December. And I think I'm so jealous that I can't be there. I would probably be too miserable to be there, though. Let's be honest. I'm fat as hell now. It's not going to be any better then. But I think for anyone and everyone who's into this stuff, it's so worth making the effort to go, because there's nothing else like look at this lineup. Oh yeah, Dan's gonna be there. Oh my God, he's so cool.
Andy Dunking, AJ from the Y-Files, Jimmy from Bright Insight, Gary from Nerdrotics. He's hosting I'm so happy that we got him. So we'll be doing if you can't make it to the event, we'll be having a live stream that'll be hosted. Most live streams at these events, it's filming the speakers and then there's a break. There's nothing going on between. We're running this one kind of like watching the Super Bowl or the Olympics or the NBA Finals. So when there's a break between speakers, we're going to be cutting to Gary, who's going to be doing many interviews with other people like Mike and Dave and other creators and content creators. So if you're watching it live, there's going to be something exciting going on every minute, whether it's a speaker talking or we're cutting over to other small interviews with creators and supporters. And so we're really looking to highlight as many creators as possible, give them a platform, and put people in a position to be able to meet and hang out and talk to some of their favorite content creators in the ancient history community. We'll be doing panels too. So you're going to get to see a lot of your favorite speakers on stage shooting the shit with each other, which I'm really excited about. And we do have potentially another announcement I can't share yet, But if you stay tuned and pay attention over the coming weeks, we may have another really cool announcement for that portion of the event as far as doing the panels and hosting that. So I'm excited to see if that works out and share that with everybody. What else were we going to do? Talk about the tours. Oh, I wanted to highlight Hugh's tour. So Hugh, I think, has a tour. We also wanted to highlight tours. I don't have any running right now. I'm about to launch one in by the end of the month or so, but we haven't quite launched that one yet. Maybe next week. And Hugh Newman, Megalithomania, I believe, has a tour running right now. I just spent a bunch of time with him over in the UK on my trip. And so if you go over to his website, Megalithomania, and then go to tours, I think he's always got stuff going on. This guy's crushing it. He's got his own thing going on with the tours, which is just amazing. So it looks like he's got a November tour.
That's amazing.
Look at that. You got a million things you can jump on there with Hugh. And the guy is a wealth of information. Like, I got to walk around Avebury and just hear everything. I just made a whole video of him explaining Avebury, Stone Circle. It was just like, why would I get in front of that? Like, he is crushing it. I mean, he is just an encyclopedia of knowledge on some of this stuff. So if you guys are looking for a tour, do that. And you can always jump on one with me. We've got a Japan tour I'm about to launch for next year.
Woo.
I'm excited about that. So we'll be launching that one in the next week or two. But yeah, come to the conference. We want to see you there.
Yes.
Kay
Come
wants
to the conference. Buy tickets for your friends and loved ones. Great Christmas present.
It is, yeah. It'd be a lot of fun. It's always fun at these conferences to meet everybody and connect.
Yeah. And I don't think there's no one else doing anything like this. And I think the coolest thing that a lot of people maybe don't realize, all those people that you just saw who are going to be speaking at the conferences, we're all friends with each other. We all talk outside of work. We all collaborate. And I think that anyone who's interested and excited in like these fields of exploration, these sort of like citizen journalists, if you will, like, even if you're not a content creator, this is your kin. This is where to come and hang out with your friends. I feel like we all shut down after COVID and no one likes to go out anymore. But this is one of those things where it's like a great excuse to come, hang out with like-minded people, debate, discuss, have fun. I think it's going to be great, Mike. I'm so jealous I won't be there. I'm very excited to be a mum. We'll be at the next one, baby in tow. It'll be a riot. It's going to be great. But I guess that's it. We only went 8 minutes over. I'm pretty impressed for a first live stream. That was pretty good. Do we have any questions or anything? Were there any, like, I wasn't expecting to have like any viewers, but
I know. I feel like we far exceeded expectations for our first live stream. We're sitting at over 200 amazing individuals sitting and tuning in with us now. So
that's amazing. Thanks, guys.
Prep next week. We're having Will. He's one of the speakers from the conference. Will will be on next week joining us and shooting the shit with us. So everything that we did today, Will will be with us. We have Dan debunking the week after that.
I love Dan. Well, Dan to adopt me.
We have Gary from Nerdotics coming on. And then basically just every week, look at the lineup from that conference, and we'll be having our speakers on every week after to just come on here and talk about current news and ancient history and go over different interesting topics together. But we wanted to kick this first episode off and just kind of get into the groove, make sure we had all if you were here at the beginning, we didn't have it all down quite yet, but we'll be locked in for next week, I think, by the time we have Will on, which will be fun.
I think we're going to make all sorts of mistakes next week, but we'll figure it out. Whatever.
I'm not worried about it. It turns out all right. Yeah.
It'll be fine. Whatever.
I just blame it on Sammy.
Okay. Yeah. We'll just blame Sammy for everything. She's
sweet and
my
fault.
No, Sammy has literally never done anything wrong. We're so lucky to have you. Thanks for keeping us in check.
And happy
Thank you for
birthday.
My
everything
haters
else.
won't say so. Thank you.
We need to come up with like a sign off or something. Like we need to come up with like a standard sign off. But again, we'll sort that out another time.
I know. And apologies to Elon. We didn't have time to get you on today. Next week, maybe Elon Musk will be able to fit you in and squeeze you in here.
Yeah, we'll squeeze you in, Elon. Don't worry. You can come
Maybe.
hang with us.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. I like you just said, Kay. We had a great turnout today. So thank you everybody for showing up and supporting it. We'll be here every week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, hanging out and going over the past week's news, events, highlighting creators and stuff like that. So this was a lot of fun.
Yeah, this was awesome. I can't believe this is real life. Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me be a part of it, Mike. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. So thank you.
So happy to have you. Have you both. Yeah.
All right, fam. Well, we'll see you all next week. Message us with questions and things.
Bye, guys. We got it. We got it right. We did it.